All, welcome to the Tuesday, October 11, 2022 business meeting of the Board of Education. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For anybody who's not aware of the emergency exits, we have two behind us and then two behind you guys. I need a motion for the order of agenda, please.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. We'll do the approval of minutes. Marion?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts minutes of the business meeting held on September 13, 2022.
I need a motion, please.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Public comments. Speakers will be recognized who wish to address the board on agenda items only. I don't think everybody's here for that, so, okay. All right, well, then we will start with the student of the month, and I think we will start with Mr. Meyer. There it is.
Thanks, Ms. Springer. All right, I'd like to ask two of my team members to come up, Ms. Tisker and Ms. McNamara. Come up. And on another note, totally not related to Student of the Month, it is Ms. Tisker's birthday, so happy birthday to Ms. Tisker. All right, you get over there? But for the big news of the evening, it is our absolute pleasure to introduce the elementary school September Student of the Month, Ariana Lopez Espinales. Ariana, come on up. Ariana was chosen as Student of the Month for 4th grade. She's a bright and enthusiastic student. Ariana comes to school each day with a smile on her face, ready to tackle all assignments. We admire her perseverance and are amazed by her positive attitude. She's helpful, kind, and friendly to everyone in school, whether it's other students or staff members as well. Ariana loves to participate in class activities and discussions and has many valuable things to share. Ariana enjoys coming to school every day and seeing her friends. She loves to do projects in school, and one of her favorite projects she loves building with a team is the Cup Challenge. Her favorite subject in school is math because she loves addition and multiplication. We asked Ariana who was an inspiration to her, and she said that her friend Ariana Carras was her inspiration. She said that Ariana is nice to her and helps her understand things. She laughs at her jokes and doesn't judge her. When Ariana grows up, she wants to be a singer, but that's kind of a secret. She doesn't tell many people that, but she loves music, loves to go spend time with Mr. Polero, and loves to listen to it, especially when she's home doing her chores. We are truly honored and proud to have Ariana in our 4th grade this year. We can't wait to see the great things she accomplishes in the future. She's truly a 4th grader who shines. Congratulations, Ariana.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. We will move to the middle school with Ms. Chug.
Good evening. It is my pleasure tonight to introduce September's Student of the Month for Hampton Bays Middle School, Rye De Palma. Rye's an 8th grader on our Big 12 team. Allow me to begin by sharing that these Student of the Month interviews are among the best parts of being a middle school principal because I learned firsthand what makes our students like Rye such amazing adolescents with such bright futures. This month's interview with Rye exceeded expectations. When I asked Rye to tell me about classes he enjoys, without hesitation and with eyes lit up, he said, English. See, Rye is an avid writer who loves to take a prompt he's given and take a deep dive into the magic of words. His most recent written piece was for our fire prevention essay contest sponsored by the Hampton-based Fire Department that answers the prompt, Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape. Outside of the classroom, Rye is a fierce tennis player for our HBMS tennis team. He's played for a number of years and was excited to join as a 7th grader last year. While he was humble about being one of the top-ranked single players on the team, Rye spoke with a humble confidence about his strong forehand and competitive backhand. He also reassured me, despite my being the worst tennis player in my home, that there's still time for all of us to learn and to get better because tennis is a lifelong sport. That reassurance showed me the kindness we can expect of our scholar athletes like Rye. Outside of school, Rye has come to enjoy Rings of Power, a series that is a prequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy that he watches with members of his family. His interest was originally piqued by his mother, who read the book series with him, sparking his interest in the series and his imagination. And speaking of reading, Rye has long been a fan of Spencer Quinn's Chet and Bernie, a mystery series about a dog and his human partner, Bernie, solving crimes. It was so nice to hear that Rye sometimes sharpens vocabulary and writing skills through what he reads. Beyond middle school and high school, Rye's already got his sights set on a bright future. Perhaps he will follow in his parents' footsteps to Columbia University, where he can enjoy city living and perhaps major in finance. But since he turns 14 a few months from now, he will enjoy for a while what he's learned at HBMS, as he honed in his academic focus and his pursuit of excellence. Rye is extremely grounded in his values. His advice for newer students is to do your homework and make school your top priority, especially while at school. He'd also advised newer students to stay in the now and stick to what you like and focus on always getting better at it with a specialty. Finally, Rye shared the importance of being kind and being respectful to others. Simple things like saying good morning and showing basic respect to others through your actions are what make Rye an ideal first Student of the Month this new school year. Congratulations, Rye De Palma, on your latest achievement.
Move on to the high school with Mr. Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Springer. It is my honor to introduce the high school student of the month for the month of September, Isabel Kane. Isabel, come on down. Being very formal, but we know Isabel is Izzy in the high school, and she has a very interesting resume. Actually, she's got two resumes. She's got one that specifically deals with music, and the reason she's here this evening is she was nominated by Mrs. Halsey from our music department, and Mrs. Halsey gave me this list, and it really was incredible, and I just thought I'd share this. We know Izzy's a strong leader, and she's well respected by her peers. She's an incredible musician. She plays the French horn. Her voice is an incredible instrument in and of itself, and she plays the cello. She has represented Hampton Bays and herself at NISCAM, Skimia, Himia, at the NISMA Solo Festival. She was a part of the Metropolitan Youth Orchestra and chorus, performed at the Stoller Center, the Tilley Center, and Lincoln Center during her musical career. She is the band president, she is the French horn section leader, she is the chorus vice president, she takes AP Music Theory, and she's a member of the Tri-M Music Honor Society. That is all just music. Let's talk about the other part of Izzy, who is a very, very accomplished academic student in the building. Izzy is taking AP Language, AP Music Theory, AP Bio, AP Calc. She's taken Beacon College Economics with Mr. Beretta. and she's got a very, very strong academic presence here in the building. My favorite part of the discussion with Izzy about her future is when she revealed to me what her plans were for next year, and Izzy is planning on a career in education. And that was really prompted by an experience she had this summer at the STAR program working with second graders. So I think we've got the development here of a very talented young educator who I'm hoping will be able to come back into the ranks and inspire kids to do the very things that she was able to do when she was here. So we're looking at a lot of colleges right now. We haven't narrowed this down, but she gave me a few: Drexel, BC, Vassar, NYU, Fordham, Stony Brook, Sarah Lawrence, Wesleyan, you name it. Doesn't matter where she goes, they all be very, very lucky to have her. So congratulations, Izzy. Great job.
Okay, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break if you would like to get a drink or take some pictures, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Mr. Springer.
Okay. Meeting is back in session. Mr. Clemenson?
Good evening, everybody, and those watching at home. Happy October. I'll start, as I normally do, with our enrollment count. Enrollment, I do this monthly, as you know, but over the last 2 months and into the next few, this will continue to be a very relevant discussion for 2 reasons in particular. One, already next month we begin budget planning for the 23-24 school year. And number 2, the community conversations around the downtown overlay district, now that that process is restarting at the town level, is also relevant, because one of the factors that was most energetically discussed at the meetings was about density downtown, the number of units where there could be residences, and what's happening with school-aged enrollment. And so each year we update our enrollment to project where we will be, and we've had a partner of ours for almost 20 years, I guess, Stanton, Leggett and Associates, who, in addition to determining the number of kids who we could reasonably expect would be kindergartners, also looking at trends in transients at each grade level. So essentially, while they may not all be the same 150 faces, does the class of 2027 essentially stay the same all the way through as 150 kids all the way through? Or is there a little up, a little down, and what grade levels does that happen in more than others? So that helps with our planning purposes. For example, when Mercy High School closed, we started to see a bigger set of new enrolled 9th graders, because not all of those students coming out of 8th grade who would have gone to Mercy are making the decision to go to St. John the Baptist or Chaminade or St. Anthony's for a parochial education. So that's important. Birth rates by year are also important. Typically, that number has been about 80%. The number of kids born in our zip code, about 80% of that number materialize 5 years later as kindergartners. And so that is a telling statistic for us to start planning. It's important to note that when we say the district's enrollment is declining, something we are now seeing 10 years, 15 years almost later than what our peers on Long Island have been seeing, is largely due to smaller kindergarten classes as opposed to 12th grade classes. 200 kids graduated this past June. 119 kindergartners go to Hampton Bays Elementary every single day. That's a big gap, but as you see on the chart there, that big chunk has been of 204 to 119, so 85 kids, has been eaten up to some degree by increased numbers of kids in grades 1 through 12, almost all, in almost all grades. So we're not experiencing flight, so to speak, as a community, as we are lower birth rates. So when I have the opportunity to speak at community events around the future of Hampton Bays, my comments are more nuanced than, and should be more nuanced than enrollment is declining. Because we can know that in the next 5 years enrollment will decline if everything else stays equal. But beyond 5 years from now, we don't know how many babies will be born. We don't know what those trends will be. Economic conditions drive that. Safety and security issues around the world drive whether families begin building their families. And that's one piece of the puzzle about the future of Hampton Bays. The other piece of the puzzle that drives where kids are, where kids show up, is the number of reasonable, safe, and legitimate housing units. So is it an if you build it, they will come and our enrollment will go back up? Or is it that babies are just not being born at the same rate as they were in the last 20 years, and therefore those would be young adults going into apartments downtown? Above my pay grade, above the school districts pay out of our lane as a school district. But those comments, I think, are important to just be consistently stated at these meetings. And so the school district will be represented in offering those comments as well. This is an incomplete slide, so this must be a different slide than we're using, so I can just talk from it, what I have. The high school just participated in a voter registration drive for our, immediately for our seniors, and Mrs. Cox, our social studies chairperson, will deliver voter registration applications that are completed by our kids to the Board of Elections in Yaphank this week. Individuals can register for the November general election up to 25 days before the election, or at least 25 days before the election. And so we're getting that done this week. A recent law change in New York State allows 16 and 17-year-olds to also register, and that's what, not vote, but just register, and that's considered a pre-registration. So if all systems work, and these 16 and 17-year-olds can fill out the application today, and when they turn 18, it generates their voter registration document, which is then sent to them. We didn't focus on 16 and 17-year-olds right now, understanding that Suffolk County is having some cyber concerns with their computer systems. We wanted to really just focus on the 18-year-olds who are interested in being registered for next month. We will be open as a school district on Election Day. Some years we are, some years we are not. Mr. Ferraro is going to work with us to amend operations down there on at the middle school. He'll work with Dr. Dell'Esperanza and Mr. Shug to make sure that safety is a priority there. It is a general election, it's a congressional election, a governor's election, so we do expect a higher turnout than we do on what might be considered off-cycle elections, but the building was built to segregate and lock off, and so we'll be planning this month for that. Next week, the 11th graders who were once 8th graders in March of 2020 and did not have the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C., will go to Washington, D.C. It was a great maneuver by our leadership to move that trip to 11th grade, to move Frost Valley's 7th grade trip to 8th grade. So through the COVID pandemic, no Bayman will have lost the opportunity for these big trips, which I think is a great thing. In addition to a investment in the general budget that was passed in May, careful planning of an itinerary to take advantage of the national sites and landmarks that are free, like the Smithsonian's and our monuments. It is a remarkable $200 per student to go to Washington, D.C. for 3 days, and will include a visit pass-by to the White House, a tour of the United States Capitol, the American History Museum, Natural History, Air and Space, the archives, and then on the way home, a stop at the University of Delaware, where students have lunch, so we'll be able to do the meal, and our traditional college tour, which has been a value and a priority for us for 15 years now. If you go to a hotel, you also go to a college, and we are excited to re-engage that commitment now that we're past the pandemic. In fact, tomorrow, we will offer the PSATs here for 10th graders and 11th graders at the high school, and we will take the 12th graders out of the building and have them off to a college tour of Long Island University up in Nassau County. Freshmen are with us tomorrow, but it's much easier to manage the building and maintain a nice testing environment for the kids and get a college tour for the entire class in there as well. Next week, there's a resolution on the agenda tonight to approve attendance at the New York State School Boards Convention, which will take place in 2 weeks, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, October 27th through the 29th. Hampton-based School District has been asked to present our work on adult education, particularly the Hospitality Academy at Hampton Bays, which had its inaugural year in March, and we will also have the opportunity to celebrate and present and share our success on our long-standing adult education program that is both recreational, duck carving, compliance, defensive driving, and skill building for adults in our community as well. So excited to present and tell the Hampton-based story every time that we are invited to do so. This is homecoming week. On Thursday, we'll have an exciting volleyball game versus Southampton. We've had a very exciting volleyball season so far, packed house at every game, competitive games, and great crowds. We'll have our community pep rally and bonfire that begins at 6:30. This is all weather dependent as we see rain and wind in the forecast. Good to light a big thing on fire next to the building when it's windy. So we may have to plug on that as we have at different times in the past. If we do that, Mr. Foster is working on a contingency plan to still have our youth pep rally. We have really invested as a community coming COVID in our youth sports to rebuild that pipeline and re-engage kids. And so youth soccer, youth cheer, and youth flag football will be invited to participate, whether it's Thursday or Friday or however Mr. Foster works that out, so we can celebrate our little kids who are very busy on the fields on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays, if you've seen that, and Sundays. Friday, we'll have our traditional in-school pep rally at 9th period, and then homecoming parade from Hampton-based middle school to the high school with our traditional floats and themes as the classes compete, to end here with a soccer game versus Mount Sinai. Saturday night, we will have a homecoming dance here at Hampton-based High School. Between now and our November board meeting, we will have the Thespian Society present their production of Clue. And so if you wander through the high school in the afternoons, they're hard at work. The set is nearly done. You can see it, all the props on stage. That's going to be a great Friday and Saturday night, November 5th and November 6th. And then we are also excited to bring back our Veterans Flag Ceremony, which stopped in early February of 2020 was probably our last traditional Veterans Flag Ceremony. So on Wednesday, November 9th at 9:30 in the morning, the elementary school, particularly the 4th grade, will have its Veterans Day breakfast. We will honor veteran Bill Jones, who works with Hampton-based but is a leader in the Southampton Combined Veterans Organizations, and we'll invite our elected officials, our VFW and our American Legion back as well. So really excited to bring that online. You'll see in your report tonight, in your packets, that we have also restarted this year our work group cycles, and our athletic and co-curricular groups have met. Curriculum and technology, facilities and operations have met in the 3 weeks leading up to tonight's board meeting. And I'll just note that a thank you to our partners at Aramark, and I'll pass the correspondence around, and to Mr. Luce, who oversees that as part of his office. There was an opportunity for Aramark, and maybe you can mention this a little bit more in your report, Larry, for a donation of large cans of tuna to the community food pantry at St. Rosalie's. Good partners of ours. We'll be meeting with the social workers and the coordinators of social ministry there in the coming week to talk about our holiday gift giving plan. There's a lot of energy and passion around holiday baskets and gift cards and making sure all of our families are served. The energy, if not harnessed, could result in duplicative efforts in one area and a gap in another area. Even between elementary, middle, and high school, add on everything that the local churches do and our St. Rosalie's pantry. We're just going to take the opportunity to meet and coordinate and see if we could be even more strategic than we have been in the past. So we have that as well. And if there are no questions, I'll wrap up my report for tonight. Any questions?
I think we're okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move to business, finance, and operations, and we will do a consent agenda from 4A to 4F. I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. right, student services, if there's no questions, we will do 5A to 5D. I need a motion, please.
Motion.
I need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We have personnel. We will start with 6A on with Mr. Clemenson for a moment.
So we have the opportunity every year to, when individuals in the organization reach a professional milestone, to confer tenure. And tenure is a New York State construct that is a professional commitment, a professional milestone in an individual's career. In Hampton Bays, we characterize that by saying, by viewing tenure as not just what an individual has contributed to the organization over the past few years while they were considered probationary in their role, but more so for the potential that they have to continue making positive contributions to the school district. And tonight we have the opportunity, or I have the proud opportunity to recommend Eric Ferraro for tenure as Executive Director for Educational Services. Now, this is a new position, which makes it, I will argue, a higher bar than previous tenure as a teacher or in roles where there are well-established opportunities to, pick up the ball and keep running or change direction. In 2019, the Board of Education endorsed a leadership structure change where we were able to create the Executive Director for Educational Services position to be a complement and a supplement and a partner to our existing assistant superintendents who are well established and very successful, and to support our building leadership teams. And so this position, I remember having a conversation with Mr. Ferraro as we were having this conversation about opportunities for his growth, because we were going to lose him to a different school district, and nobody wanted that to happen. He had worked Mr. Richard as an assistant principal and an associate principal, but was evolving in his role and his ability to contribute to the school district, and it made all the sense in the world to join the high-performing district cabinet with Mr. Pagano, Mr. Luce, and Mr. Carlson came in at that time as well. And so in that, and then we had all these grand visions for what this role could be, and then COVID came and changed our direction quickly. And in his role, Mr. Ferraro has taken on instructional technology priorities, has cultivated more than $100,000 in community donation to make sure that our one-to-one initiative that we were working towards and getting to do got done, and it got done quick early on in the pandemic. Most recently, he's taken on school safety, and with a calm and deliberate approach has made sure that school safety remains highly successful as it was built over the last several years. There are many other things, like what department has this? Let's call Mr. Ferraro, because he's a systems thinker. He's not only good with technology, but can think about things on a systems and operational level so that we end up as a faculty and as a staff and as a leadership team, not always necessarily working harder, but working smarter. And for all of those reasons, it makes a tenure decision and a recommendation to the board to confer tenure very easy, because to go back to where I started, I like to take my recommendations on not just what's happened, but the potential, the continued potential for growth in the school district. Mr. Ferraro said to me when it was time to consider leaving building, I need to keep a foot in the building. So not only did we give him an office and everything, but he was still able to chaperone trips, still able to teach senior seminars, still able to work with kids on a day-to-day basis to build the set on the stage right now. So to be able to have one foot still with kids, which is what sometimes we all struggle with as we move into leadership and administrative roles, and still think and contribute and lead on a district level, to make us stronger as a district. He was able to do both. So without hesitation, I make the recommendation to confer tenure on Mr. Ferrara tonight. Congratulations,
Okay,
and thank you.
We will start with a motion on the recommendation. I need a motion, please. Motion. I need a second. Hold on.
Second?
Okay. And then we will do a vote. Mr. Joslin?
Aye.
Ooh, it was hesitant.
One of us went a little.
Ms. Scully?
Aye.
Ms. Capuano? Aye. And I vote aye also. The motion passes. Congratulations, Ferraro. Thank you for all you do. And now we will continue. We will do a consent, this is personnel, we'll do consent agenda from 6B, 6J. I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, all right, we'll do something first. All right, I need a motion from 7A to 7D. I need a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We were going a little backwards here. We're going to, sorry, Ms. Booth, coming back to you, buddy. My fault.
Back to me? Okay. Just two quick things. High school locker rooms. We're getting there. Getting drains seems to be a monumental problem. Just can't find them anywhere. But they're supposedly now on their way, and once they're in, then the flooring around them will be finished and the locker will be done. We're getting there. It's taking a little longer than we planned. Audits, our annual external audit is being finalized at this time. Auditor in district 2 weeks ago did all their on-site testing. Now they're just finalizing the audit. We should have a report to accept at the next Board of Ed meeting, which is actually right on time because we'll set our annual reserves and our tax levy at that meeting as well. And then I'll just explain the tuna fish. We get a lot of tuna from government commodities, big, nice, huge canvas, and kids like it to a point. And then you have cases of tuna that will expire if you don't do something with them. So rather than let them just expire and get thrown away, we gave them to the St. Rosalie's well before expiration time so that they could use them and give them out or make sandwiches with them or whatever. So it was just a good way to use a government commodity that had been passed to us, that the students really didn't want any more tuna.
Eat up.
Eat up, yeah.
Okay, we thank you, Mr. Luce. We will move on to public comment. Persons may address the Board of Education on any matters of interest or concern. The board president will recognize all speakers. Term limits may be based upon agenda needs. I don't see a whole lot. So with that, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion?
I need a second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mayor.